Good. Okay. So we're working through some technical growth issues or growth opportunities right now. So please bear with us. If you want to follow on the slides, obviously they're here. If you go to AIMUG.org, which is right there on a QR code, there should be like links to some of the labs that are going on today and what's going on. So I'm going to give this a start, and hopefully the people on online are seeing the proper screen. Next slide. Okay, so today, what's our agenda? We're going to go over some intro and updates. I'm going to present that. Next on the schedule, we're going to go through. So I think Ricky might be stuck in traffic, so we're gonna do a little switcheroony. Wait, with Ricky. Did I write the same thing over and over again? All right. So this is what happens when you do slides like 10 minutes before, when you finish your slides 10 minutes before coming out. So Kareem is going to go over a Gradio lab, which if you have your laptops, please take them out. There is a notebook available and a lot of fun stuff we can do into it. Gradio, Cloudflare, and
Gradio and Cloudflare for now. LangChain.
Okay, and like a little bit of
LangChain.
Awesome. Okay. And we're going to head into the tavern afterwards. If anyone wants to go grab a drink, right? Okay. Look at me. I'm Colin. Let me see. Co-founder of Austin LangChain. For my day job, so I don't work for LangChain. I am an ambassador. Checked off by Harrison and team. But for my day job, I'm an entrepreneur. I run engineering and finance for a local CPG and a manufacturing company called Always Cool Brands. We use AI here and there. Would be one way of describing it. I would say we use AI everywhere from I don't know, from spell check to custom models, right? It is really, really cool. Fundamentally, my day job, I'm solving the messy inbox problem. Has anyone read that white paper from A16Z? Right, when they talk about the opportunities, their view of opportunities, A16Z being, oh gosh, Andreessen Horowitz, talking about the changing of our interface between. In the past, if I wanted to access my data, I'd go to Salesforce.com. I could go to NetSuite, right? And there's an application middleware that would present data to me in a certain way, and it was kind of vertical SaaS. For me, a lot of my day-to-day is changing that interface for me and an agent, me and a tool, my partners in an agent, my partners in a tool, and that data itself, right? It is completely transforming my business. I am, however, a 10% developer. I'm not the guru developer. I'm not good at this stuff. I'm an engineer. When my entire life, you're like, yeah, 10,000 of these devices have to deploy around the world. It has to be up, 45 days. Oh, yeah, write some damn code, right? My journey with LangChain has been really interesting in that. One is the first time I encountered it saved me from an SEC violation, which was solid, right? It made a fan of me. But two, its ability to tie the ecosystem together has really been really cool. So who is Austin LangChain? I need to update that. We just passed 900 members, which is kind of cool. Not bad for a meetup that started like 14 months ago. I see it as a sign that we do something a little different than a lot of other groups, but we're cool. Our focus is learning on the open. So if you are new here, if you're recently back, we're not the experts, right? Some people are, not me. But we're learning AI through the lens of LangChain. And to address your question, are you just LangChain? Well, LangChain is this middleware that integrates a lot of ecosystem components. And that's one of the strengths of what Harrison did when he started the project. Is he was very open to accepting commits, right? He's like, okay, fine. I don't care if it half works. Let's just get it going, just like a flood fest. So kind of emulate that spirit. And as we're learning something, sometimes someone finish their code right on those steps right there. I'm guessing Ricky is finishing his code right now. And so we show it to each other, and so we're sharing. Is that amongst the core group, amongst the community, is we're seeing this acceleration as we build the trust, just like you do in your software development team, When you build that trust, and you know, I can show my crappy code, and they're not going to call me a fool, right? You get that freedom to innovate, freedom to grow, and the freedom to try something which is completely absurd, which some of those you'll see in demos. Let me see. So as I said, we do have about 30 to 50 active users at any one time. We're kind of at the shoulders of the year in Austin. So expect things to pop up again in January. But the most important thing is we have a supportive and engaging community, right? The people here are awesome. We have a well-balanced Discord. If you go to, if you grab that QR code or AIMUG.org, there's getting started, which has all the things you can click on to join all the things. Off of the Discord, it's not it's interesting, but not overwhelming. Best way I can describe it. We have 2 rules here at Austin LangChain as part of our learning in the open. So just be cool to each other, right? If someone's showing something, don't nerd snipe. We don't have any challenges with that. But like, be cool to each other, especially when you're showing something new. You're like a kindergartner up here. I know I feel that way. And that really all levels are welcome. We may at a time be going over something that we're just trying to figure out and get that knowledge out there. But was really important, and our Discord is the place to start. Is that if you're just joining your journey, it's just starting the journey. We have 101, literally 101 notebooks and entire courses as we've been figuring out ourselves. We've written it down and we shared it. And so we can help you go through this. We have recorded videos. We have office hours, Tuesdays at 2 and Thursdays at 2. We get together and learn. It's the best way I can describe it. A little bit LangChain itself, pulling on the thread. That's Harrison. He's really cool. Hyper nerdy. I appreciate that. Harrison Chase started the LangChain project. It's basically a Python library and a TypeScript library that allows you to abstract a bunch of AI stuff. There's a free open source library on the bottom. And then there's different tools that are available. LangGraph Studio, which allows your read your debugs and your logs and something that won't make you have a lot of pain in your life. And then LangGraph Cloud, which is basically a cloud hosted, or if you want to run something on local Kubernetes. This is how they make money as a business. This is the code that they give back to the community. Right? They're really supportive, and I think they're really cool. There's other projects in the ecosystem, like Kareem, you might heard about, and others. It's not a screw everyone else will suck. What's happening right now is graphs of agents are learning to talk to each other, both by directly addressing in code base, but then also one of the things that has come up over the past couple office hours inside of our group on Discord is this evolution of MCPs. Basically, there's this multi-protocol integration layer that is emerging that was contributed by Anthropic that is allowing us to glue our autonomous systems of control, my AI stack, my company's AI stack, and expose bidirectional publisher-subscriber interfaces between it. It's rather new. We're going to see like 20 other things that are that mirror that, but it's a really great place to be. Let me see. If you go to AIMUG.org, I actually wrote all this stuff down. All the pages are there. If you go to docs, and then we've been documenting our journey, and I need to write some code because I don't want to do it myself. That goes back and documents all the earlier stuff. Couple of things and updates that I think are interesting and relevant on the LangGraph side. So anybody like old batch scripts, right? Yeah, go to line, whatever, right? You can basically execute a command. So if you have a suite of agents, like personalities that are defining your code, or maybe in a graph, or there's other graphs that are connected to. A month ago, you would have to manually define what are called define your nodes and your edges. You'd have to define the graph, what can talk in what direction. Now you can literally create dynamic agent, you can dynamically address another agent somewhere in your fabric, within your current swarm or in a connected swarm. If you think about this for a moment, like I see Kareem nodding. He thinks something. Really powerful, and something I'm putting out here is that I'm really interested in each and every one of you, maybe trying it out, sharing what you learn about it, right? Just came out this month. The next thing that came out this month is the interrupt feature in LangGraph. So one of the things that's really interesting to do is have an agent do something. One thing that's, bless you, more interesting to do is to have the agent do something, come and check with you whether it should do the next thing, right? And so now we have an interrupt command that allows us to easily specify that in our artificial intelligence organizational structure, which is our graph of agents, right? Which is our swarm of agents. Pretty cool. Other results that came out, other news that came out that is relevant. LangChain put out a survey. You know, we have members of the meetup, the best Colin Best, that works for Accenture, and we have other people that, you know, are in with NVIDIA and other stuff. There is adoption of AI and LangChain happening right now. 60% in the financial services space, and I can absolutely confirm this. Like, the large banks are all playing like a survival game, effectively, based on security. They're all the largest customers of NVIDIA or banks, right? So financial services, we have Rob's online. We have Rob Kessler, Kessler Investments, who writes software. He's a great example of it. And he's like he's a trader investor guy that he plays down his code. He's actually an amazing developer. But 60% of technology, 11% of financial services. The more important thing that I'm seeing, and I see this reflected, right? Like at work, we have a call with not Food Science Magazine or something like that, someone on the CPG side on formulations, and kind of went over like what we do. And the interviewer was just like, wow, right? You're two people with production partners and some interns. And at the end of the day, you know, what shows up in these surveys is that those of us that are integrating these workflows in our day-to-day are getting about 30% left, 30% of our time back. So that turns my 100-hour week into a 70-hour week, right? But more importantly, you know, small businesses are really facing, and I talked about earlier, this messy inbox problem, where we have lots of emails coming in, lots of spreadsheets coming in, we have different portals we have to manage, we have different call transcripts we have to do, and like, how do we tie that in to a properly managed business that we scale via code versus people? So that's what we have for updates. Now I want to kick it on over to Kareem here. Yes, sir. I'm sorry for not calling that out. Yeah. Rob, sorry, I'm in my head. I appreciate you.
Hey, teams for hackathon. If you're interested in Discord, register your interest by joining the Discord channel competitions. You have to join it. Just go into that channel, competitions, say, I'm in for hackathon. I'll be there. And we should all be on the lookout for hackathons that are coming up, particularly local ones. And we'll put some teams together. Be a lot of fun. We can implement some of the stuff we're doing here. And I think it'd be a really cool way to represent this community that we have. So, competitions channel, if you want to do hackathons, we're looking for the next 3 to 6 months to do our first couple. We're going to be hosting one right here in April.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We're going to be doing
Oh,
right.
That's exciting. Okay. Thank you so much, Rob.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much. Again, sorry for not getting the slide in. This happens when Colin's rushing. As Kareem, if you want to pop on over and share, we'll get this. Tell me when you're ready, okay?
Yep.
Do I need a stall?
Let's see.
Let's stall right here. Who else been playing with LangGraph? No one? Okay, Nathaniel? Yeah, a little bit. Anyone playing with the Open Web UI and pipelines yet? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So if you go onto a repo, you'll find AI stacks inside of there. And Ricky's been playing with this, but it's actually building like a self-contained 4090 AI stack. They can do local inference, remote inference, and some stuff. He helped me out getting my system about halfway right now. But you might be looking at some really cool stuff. Okay.
You log into the Meet real quick. And have your side by side. Do you need any help, Kareem?
I'm okay for now, but I might.
Okay. Okay. Did you install?
Please.
Okay, cool. Install while Kareem said getting his Google Meet connected and sharing. That's a good idea to help install. Yep. Okay. There you go. I see you.
Sound check. Are we getting a feedback on Google Meets? Can somebody? Okay.
Can you check? Make sure your
Mic's off, okay.
it's going to be right here. Press that. And then not Austin's plugged in.
Okay. That's it. Okay. Sorry.
Play.
Settings.
Microphone. Wireless microphone. Okay. Cool. Then you should. Yeah. You're set.
Okay.
Cool. And are you presenting on the screen?
Yeah, I will. Just a second. I just want to make sure. Can somebody from Google Meets confirm you can hear me clearly?
I see your thing
Pulsing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me go ahead and. Let's mirror. Goes over.
Here you are.
Okay, perfect. How is everybody?
Doing very well.
Awesome. All right. My name is Karim Lalani. I am a regular with this group. I've been with Austin LangChain since session 1.
Yeah.
And Colin got me hooked on LangChain. He shared his, the story that he shared today about him, LangChain sort of saving him from an SEC violation, and his journey through onboarding onto the LangChain, and following it through. LangChain, how many people have been following LangChain since the early days? It's a whole different beast now. It used to be practically unusable beyond some, bespoke stuff that they put out. Any new integration would come out, it would be a different, like RAG agent would be a different thing. If you wanted to do something, text generation stuff would be different. So we've really seen it evolve into some, a collection of bespokes, specifically crafted agent, modules to a full-fledged framework that is still growing. I was talking to a couple of people here, and I was working on a script to extract some information from some photos, and I needed to look at the documentation to figure out how to present the image as part of the prompt. And this whole set of new stuff that's there that I didn't see last time. So the ecosystem is constantly evolving. What you saw earlier with the tooling, LangChain's been investing heavily on improving their tools. It used to be, everything was, okay, here are a bunch of notebooks, and we'll show you how it works, and, figure it out. To now you have an IDE, you have an introspection service for your agents in LangSmith, and a hosting solution in LangGraph Cloud. So, okay, so that's just, me repeating some of the stuff that you've already heard before, but
Do you want to share your desktop?
yeah. Let's stay here. So, who am I? I'm Kareem Lalani. I'm a software
Are you
engineer.
sharing on Google? Is my
Okay.
question.
Thank you for that.
That one, yeah.
Let's do entire screen.
There you go. Thanks, sir.
So, my name is Karim Lalani. When I'm not hanging out with Colin's crew, I am a software engineer, a contractor for the state of Texas. I work primarily in .NET. Don't boo me yet. But besides that, I've been sort of following along on this LangChain journey since almost the very beginning. I have contributed to LangChain's documentation in early days when they were trying to put in an effort to sort of clean up some documentation. I have made code commits to the community and the experimental packages. I did some work on, on the open source side of things with enhancing the now obsolete Ollama functions package when tool calling or tool use was becoming, it was becoming obvious as that is the way to truly build applications that use language models at their core. And the only candidates the only way you could use tool use was either go with OpenAI, go with Anthropic, or maybe with Grok's Llama fine-tune, but nothing on the open source side of things. So somebody had done some initial work on Ollama functions where they had implemented something similar to what was initially called function calling with OpenAI, which was soon deprecated. So that package was not maintained. So I did some work to sort of bring it back up to speed with the newer tool calling stuff. I released a couple packages, one with on Python and on one on TypeScript to allow you to use tool calling with any inference service that didn't yet support. Now, fortunately now, so I don't maintain that package anymore. And the reason for that is I don't have to. Almost all providers now support tool calling natively, tool use natively. So and that was always going to be the, it was always going to be a stopgap solution. I wanted to use tool use. I didn't want to go to OpenAI. I didn't want my data to go to Anthropic. I wanted it to stay in my ecosystem, and there was no other way to do it. Ollama hadn't integrated that in yet, so that was, essentially a solution, a problem that I was solving for myself. I've participated in NVIDIA's hackathon, LangChain hackathon. I've been giving presentations whenever I can for this group, and I'm always happy to sort of brainstorm, with our other fellow members on Discord whenever there's an opportunity. What are we going to do today? So, who here is familiar with Cloudflare? I hope everybody. So, Cloudflare started out as a CDN service that evolved into a network infrastructure, sort of company, and now they also are a competent inference service. What I mean by that is you can actually just like you can make an API request to OpenAI or Anthropic or your LLMs, you can also make API requests to Cloudflare through their Workers AI, where they have some models that they have hosted, some proprietary, some open source, and you can make LLM, you can use their inference service. Advantages, Cloudflare's infrastructure is quite well established, which means that gets you one step closer to LLMs on the edge. And that's where the title of today's presentation was. I've been looking into, so that's the Cloudflare side of things. We, in our initial labs, we had looked at Streamlit as a user interface library for Python, something that was quite popular with the data science and AI ML side of things. Who here is familiar with Streamlit? Very good, most of you. Who's familiar with Gradio? Slightly, a couple less people, but Gradio is another user interface library for Python, developed by, or at least maintained by, the Hugging Face team. And it has some interesting features. I looked through the workflow of how you build interfaces and how you launch, and they have some additional niceties that come with it that I'll hopefully get a chance to share with you today. And so this is a lab. You can follow along. If you have what you will need is access to Google's Colab. You will also, if you want to follow the lab with the Cloudflare component, you will need your Cloudflare account ID and an auth token with Workers AI permissions. With show of hands, who all here will be following along? Perfect. On the computer, I mean, So how do you access the notebooks? We have all of our notebooks, all of the code, and everything that we do with Austin LangChain published in a public repo, AIMUG-org. The repository is Austin_LangChain. In there, we'll go under Labs, LangChain 111, and there's a couple notebooks here and a README file with Cloudflare setup. So those who are new, who are familiar with Cloudflare, would like to set up, this is how you would get your account ID. You basically just log into your Cloudflare account, and you can find your account ID there. You will need to save that into your Cloudflare_account_ID environment variable in Colab. To create the API key, in fact, let me just see if I can walk you through it. Okay, so I am logged in. I'll log into the right account. Easiest way to spot your account ID is when you're logged in. What you see here up top, that's your account ID. That's the easiest way to find your account ID. Now, to create an API key, you would scroll down to Manage Your Account, Account API Tokens, Create Token. Under the Templates, Worker AI Use Templates. Don't change anything. You can add a start and end date. I would advise, don't worry about that just yet. You can always delete this token after the exercise. When you do, then you do View Summary, Create Token. This here is your API token with access to Workers AI. Now that everybody has seen that token, I'm going to go back here.
Burn it as quickly as possible.
Yes. And let's see. Actually, it doesn't reveal the whole token, so I think I'm okay. I don't want to delete the one that is set up in my Colab, so I'll come back and I'll delete it later. But yeah, So that's how you would set up. Those are the two pieces of information you need from your Cloudflare account. Now, you will say that, well, if it's coming from my Colab and if I'm making API calls, won't I be charged for those things? Well, I have good news for you. Colab is currently, for most of their beta models, and some of their non-beta models are not billing you anything for a set number of requests. And that quota is quite generous. So if you happen to go through the exercise today a few different times, you should still not be billed by Cloudflare. So this is a pretty safe exercise as of today. Now, a few months down the road, they might jack up the prices, or just be careful about that. Once you have that, now for those of you who don't have a Cloudflare account, or you don't have enough, we don't have enough time for you to go set one up, there is an alternate notebook. So the one that we're going to use today with Cloudflare is called Spoilerwish. The one that we can use as an alternate that doesn't have a dependency on Cloudflare is called Intro to Gradio. Let me open both of those. Okay. Who here is familiar with the game Spoilerwish? Okay. Spoilerwish is a game that I think originated on the forums, internet forums, in the mid-2000s, where on a message board you would make a wish, and you would basically you say, okay, here's my wish, and somebody else would say, okay, your wish is granted, but here's a caveat, and basically they're spoiling your wish, and then they would have to make their own wish, and then somebody else would come in and then say, okay, your wish is granted, but here's another caveat. So an example here is, okay, I wish for $1 million, well, granted, but your dollars are in Zimbabwe's defunct currency, so which is equivalent to $15. So enjoy your Happy Meal. So this is the Intro to Gradio lab. So on top of both of those notebooks, whichever one you choose to follow, I will walk through the Spoilerwish one, but you will see a link open in Colab. Once you click that, it will take you, log you into your Google Colab account. The nice thing is we don't need a GPU for this one. The reason for that is Cloudflare is footing the bill for GPUs this time. So you don't need a pro plan. Just connect to that. Make sure that you add your keys onto your, so we have the two keys that we need, Cloudflare_account_ID, Cloudflare_API_token. Let me activate both of those keys. And then we'll just follow along. First thing we'll do is we'll set up the Spoilerwish game in LangChain. Simple prompt template that pipes the prompt to a LLM hosted on Cloudflare and returns the response. We install the packages for LangChain, LangChain core, LangChain community. Yes. Okay. So on the left hand, do you have the keys already? Okay. So on the left hand side, you see an icon for the key. You click that, and then you should be able to add new secret. The names of the secret are listed. Okay, they're not listed. Okay, they're listed here. So you can copy this link, this Cloudflare_account_ID, paste it, and the next one is the API token. Those are the two ones that you need. You don't, this one is not. So the nice thing about Colab is you can set up your secrets in one place, and then you can use them across all your notebooks. So if you're doing some other stuff with Cloudflare, you only need to reference those environment variables. You don't need to worry about re-adding the keys again. Okay, so first thing, we're building the small, not really an agent, a chain. So install the LangChain core and LangChain community packages. We'll do our imports. And we'll set up we'll get the secrets that you just added. We'll get them into our environment. So far, so good. Here, this next cell is just to verify that your keys are actually set up correctly. So I'm making an API request directly to Cloudflare, not going through LangChain, because we want to make sure that our keys are set up properly. So we're making a curl request to the Llama 3.1 70 billion instruct model hosted on Cloudflare with a message. And if everything is set up correctly, then we should get a LLM response. And looks like, in my case at least, I got a response that was not an error response. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll create a prompt template. This is something, if you've worked with LangChain, you're familiar with. You're playing a game of spoil a wish, user will make a wish, yada, yada, yada. This one, I've kept it to keep it playful. There's variations of the game spoil a wish where people grant the wish, but the outcomes are quite grim.
A question, Kareem.
Yes.
In this notebook, can you change the prompt inside of there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. So the notebook, you're seeing the prompt that comes with the notebook. You feel free to adjust this. After you have verified that it works, on your second run, third run, go back and fiddle around with it. Change. Maybe you want to change it from spoiler wish to something completely different.
Yeah.
So this is where you would go. You would change your stuff. Right now, it only takes one parameter called wish. You could adjust it to take multiple parameters. Just follow the syntax for that. This one's using the f-string syntax. And so this is the prompt. I've kept it playful. I've seen, for example, variations where they would say, I want $1 million granted, but you don't have any family left anymore. Like I don't want my AI agent to be that dark and grim. So I say, let's keep it playful. It'll come after us, but I don't want my agent to come after us.
Yeah.
So okay. So we'll initialize. So now that we've verified that Cloudflare is responding, our tokens and our account ID set up correctly, we have our prompt set up. Now let's initialize the language model itself that is hosted on Cloudflare. So we're using the chat Cloudflare Worker AI class. We are passing the account ID, the API token, and I've defaulted the model name here. Where do you get this model name from? Again, so if you look at the instructions up top, there are some instructions on how you can access other models. If I come here on that link, Worker AI models, if I look at text generation, these are all the models that you can use.
Wow.
Everything that has beta, Cloudflare is not going to charge you even if you go past your quota.
Nice.
Everything that is, so text generation looks like pretty much everything with the exception of a handful are in beta. We are using 3.170 billion, I believe, which is beta. So you won't be charged for that one.
There's 3.3 now?
Already here? Yep. 3.2 is here. It's not beta, but you can use it. You should still have some allowance for the free quota.
Wow.
So how do you get the name of the model name string? Just click on any of the models that you're going to use, and then you'll see this @CF. This is the name of the model that you'll supply. Sometimes it's @CF, sometimes it's HF. So be sure that you're picking up the full name and not you're trying to type it in yourself. So okay. So we are initializing the Cloudflare Workers AI chat model, passing in the model name, token, and account ID. We have a test wish here. I wish for $1 million, and we're creating a chain. All this chain is doing is it's taking a prompt, it's piping it to the model that we just initialized up here. So I'm going to run that. Next, it's time to test the chain. with the wish. I wish for $1 million. Okay, so it's giving me a response, but it's giving me in a sort of unusable format. I can't do much with this format, so we'll need to do some cleanup. Now, this will vary from model to model what I'm doing here, but for this specific instance, it looks JSON, but not quite. This is actually a Python dictionary being returned. You can tell by single quotes around the keys and the true keyword with a capitalized T. So we'll use the AST literal eval to execute the content to get the dictionary back. So now this is the whole dictionary that came back. Again, use this at your discretion. This is running arbitrary Python code. In this case, it is somewhat safe, but you want to be careful before you expose your data or run it on your machine and you're running arbitrary code coming from somewhere else. You want to be careful with something like that. So what I've done next is created an output parser. Who knows what an output parser is in LangChain? Awesome. Couple of people here are familiar with it. Output parser is basically the idea is that you get some form of response from an LLM, and you want to transform that to maybe a different format. You don't, it could be programmatically, it could be some other way. In this case, I'm looking at the Python dictionary. I have the result key. Result has another object inside it with the key of response. This is really what I'm interested in. Nothing else. I do want to, so that's what I'm doing here. I'm basically just creating a simple Pydantic class to extract that information. Now let's update our chain and attach that response to it, output parser to it. And now let's give it another try. So, okay. And now I'm getting something that I can extract information out easily. So, okay, your TNG problem, there's a custom-made high security vault only can be opened on leap years. That's it's actually a giant pinata shaped like a giant. This is wow.
Ninja hamsters.
Man. So, okay, so things seem to be working. So now we have our chain. We have the quote-unquote model for our spoiler wish game. Now let's put a user interface in front of it. So we'll install the Gradio package. We'll do our first customary import Gradio as gr, so we don't have to keep typing Gradio everywhere. I'm just going to give it a function. I'm encapsulating my chain inside a Python function, which takes in an input in the form of a wish and gives me the output, which is the response from the language model. That way, it almost serves like, acts like an interface. Okay. Gradio is, the way it works is you define your inputs, you define your outputs, and you define a callback. Gradio will build an interface. It'll give you the controls for your inputs. When you click the submit button, it'll pass those inputs to the callback, and then it basically maps the responses to the output. So first thing I'll do is so this is a simple Gradio app is an interface. Our function is a callback, it's a spoil wish one. It takes one input, one output, which means my inputs, just one item there, one item the output. I'm giving it both the value of text. And then I'll do app launch. The nice thing about Gradio is that Jupyter notebooks will actually render Gradio within inline. With Streamlit, one of the challenges that we would run into is we would run the Streamlit app backgrounded inside the notebook, and then we would have to create a tunnel to then to get a publicly available URL to then connect back into it. With Gradio, you actually have something that is just inline. So let's look at our code again. Inputs is text. It's saying wish, and then outputs is out. Where is it getting this wish from? I didn't specify wish here. I mean, I have a callback called spoil wish, but it's not spoil wish. This is actually coming from the definition. If you look at the spoil wish function definition, callback definition, the name of the argument is wish. So it's doing a little bit of that for us to keep it a little bit intuitive. Okay. So let's say I wish for a fast sports car. I have to keep it. Let's see. I hit submit. It's giving me a spinner because it's when it as for the duration it takes for the callback to process and return the output. It's just giving me a spinner, letting me know that, hey, I'm working on this. Okay. Dream has come true. I'm thrilled to grant you a wish. You now own a slick, brand new cherry red supercar that can go from 0 to 60 in just 3 seconds. Nice. However, there's a tiny problem. The car is sentient. Oh, great. And it's a total diva. And has a very strong personality. Lola demands that you never drive faster than 25 miles per hour. And only on Sundays, during leap years. Any attempts to disobey these rules will result in Lola transforming into a Vespa. Okay. With an annoying loud horn that plays "Who Let the Dogs Out" on repeat. Congratulations, you're a proud owner of a supercar with a bad attitude. Okay, so what did we do here? We took a model. We took a model. It could be a LangChain agent. It could be a machine learning pipeline. It could be an API endpoint to something else that takes in an input and returns output. It takes in some number of inputs, returns some number of outputs. And we provided, we were able to create an interface with how many lines of code? Really, if you look at just the Gradio side of things, 1 for the import, 3 for the callback, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 lines.
Yeah.
And because I decided to split this into multiple lines. And I have an interface that renders inside the notebook. And you also get one more thing. So because I'm running this in Gradio, it's actually doing something by default. It's actually adding a special parameter called share equals true. What that does is it's giving me a public URL. Who here is on Discord right now?
I am.
Okay. I'm going to paste this link in Discord under, let's say, off topics.
Oh, I got your app.
I didn't have to do anything. So basically, Gradio is using tunneling to give me a public link. This link is going to be active for 72 hours. So if I leave this app running, so I could be doing this on my computer, on my home computer. I could leave this running and I could have anybody who I need feedback from test it out, give me feedback. I make adjustments, give them another link, test it out, feedback, without going through any kind of infrastructure. It's using my API key, yes.
It's actually running in his collab instance right now.
Yeah. So that's actually the same instance that I just tested this year. Okay, so let's try to make some adjustments. So it took the name of the variable and it used it here. That's nice. So I know what I have. It gave a generic name output to the field. That's okay. I mean, maybe I need to make it a little bit more sort of intuitive. Say you want to give labels. Easiest way to do that is, so we were using a shorthand notation here. We use text. Text means it's a text box. Without telling anything else, it's saying, okay, I'll give you a text box. I'll try to figure out the names of the inputs and outputs. But we say, no, I want a little bit more control over that. So we can change the code and we can say gr.textbox label with a wish with a capital W, and I want to default a value. I want $1 million in there. I don't want to keep typing it every single time I'm testing this. So I have a default value. Outputs, I want to give it a label of response instead of output. And I want it to be a text area with 3 lines. Okay. If I do that, now I have the same app, but with a little bit of improvement on the UX. It works the same way. Okay. Now, left side inputs, right side outputs. Great. But maybe you don't want that layout. Maybe you want a custom layout. You want, who here is familiar with, who knows any applications that were written in Gradio? Automatic 1111, anybody familiar with that? You see the how complex that application is?
That's built on
That's
Gradio?
Gradio.
Huh.
Automatic 1111 is built on Gradio.
Wow. Which ties in a bunch of backend services
Yes.
and simplifies them behind one web interface.
Yeah. And so if you think about all the interactivity that's going on in there,
Yeah.
that's all built. So, but that's not a left side input, right side output interface, right?
Yeah.
So how do you customize the layout? Well, now you get into the slightly advanced section. So it's called blocks. With blocks, you have access to some more controls. One of the ones that I'm showing here is CSS. When I want to do some custom CSS. And then I also want to show some HTML. So there's a gr.html. There's a markup. So if you don't want to do straight out HTML, you're comfortable with markup, markdown, sorry, not markup. You can do gr.markdown, and you can use regular markdown syntax in there. And then I'm creating a row with a single column, and I'm creating a variable for capturing the wish, which is a text area. Another for response, it's also a text area. And then I'm creating a button called submit. And the button's text is going to be called submit text. I'm adding a custom class to it, and the class is coming from up top here, custom class that I gave it. Okay. Then I'm creating, tying the event, the submit event on this, the click event on the submit button. Now this will look familiar because this is the interface format that we had earlier. We have inputs, we have outputs, we have callbacks. Input is this wish control, output is this response control, and we do app launch. So if I run this guy, now I have the same application, but in a slightly different form factor. And I can say spoiler wish. Yes.
What would you recommend by creation?
Depends. So they're both great at what they do. It depends on what what you're most comfortable with. I've come to like Gradio. I think so what I've seen, the reasonings that I've seen. So Streamlit is very flow driven because Streamlit, everything executes as a script, top to bottom. Gradio is more pipeline oriented. You have inputs, callbacks, outputs that flows into further callbacks, So depends on the style that you're most comfortable with. They're both easy to work with. So Gradio has backing of Hugging Face. So and Streamlit is a quite popular project itself. Okay, so I'm going to now we'll talk about we'll add a little bit more complexity to the UI. And this, okay, so what are we doing here? We're doing the same CSS. We have the top section is same. This looks pretty similar, but I've added a reset button this time, a new button, and that says try again. Now, instead of doing submit button.click, I'm using explicit triggers. So I'm saying gr on, and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to now on a trigger, I want you to do something. But then I want to chain that. So there's this on, then sort of pipeline that I can create. So what's happening here is first thing we'll go through the click event is going to, there's no inputs here, but there's 3 outputs. Do you notice I no longer have a single value? I can pass an array, a list of components. So I have 3 components as outputs. For callback, instead of creating a Python function, I just created a Lambda expression. Now, the way it works, Lambda works the same way. It needs to account for the inputs, and it needs to return outputs. In this case, there are no inputs, so it doesn't take any arguments, but outputs need to match this sequence. First output needs to be for wish, second needs to be for response, third needs to be for submit. Why? Okay. What am I trying to do here? Well, I'm changing the behavior of the controls. Up until now, we were just dealing with the content inside the controls, but now I want to change the behavior. I want to disable so basically what I'm doing here is when I click submit, I want to disable the wish button, the wish text box, make the response box visible, and I want to make the submit button invisible. Why am I making the response visible? If you notice here, I didn't talk about earlier, I actually gave it a default property of false. So when this form will first load, you'll not see a response box. You'll just see the input control. So I've created 4 controls here, out of which only 2 are visible: the wish text area and the submit text area. What I'm doing now is when you click the button, deactivate the input, hide the submit button, and show the try again button. Next thing, once you're done with that, I'm not done because I haven't actually made the request. Next thing I'm saying, okay, let's go ahead and call our callback, spoil wish, that we created earlier. That will take the input of wish, and the output will be response. So here I'm not changing the properties. I'm just using this like we did before. Whatever is the content inside wish, that's the input. And whatever you get what's returned from spoil wish needs to be applied to response. But I'm not done yet. I want to then go ahead and I want to change the behavior of the reset button. I want to make it visible now. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. This pipeline is going to execute on submit button click. Then I have the reset button click, which basically resets it back to the original state. So it'll hide the response, it'll hide the reset button, it'll activate the wish input so I can type again, and it'll make the submit button visible. Okay, you ready to see this in action?
Yes.
Okay, so same application. I only see 2 controls, like I said. So when I press the spoil wish button, you see the interface change a little bit. There's no button up down here because it's still processing. It's still going through the so now that I have the response and I have the try again. If I click try again, it'll reset the interface back to the previous state. Okay. One more thing, there's something called the examples helper. Where would that come in handy? So when you're building interfaces, like you saw, when I'm building through this, I could default a value in the input. But maybe I want to try different values. I don't want to keep going in and typing in stuff. So examples helper sort of does it. So it's the same code. I've just added this bit of code in here. What I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, create an example component, and these are my examples. I wish for $1 million. I wish for a new car, new house, new job. These are inputs for the wish control. Okay, and then I'll label it try these. Everything else is exactly the same as we did before. Sorry? Yeah, there's no value there because I didn't add any default value anymore. But I have examples here. So if I click this, I can click this, click this, click this. So these are the default values. So this has been, for those who were following along who don't have Cloudflare, we have the very same exercise without Cloudflare integration. It just has, let's see, let me just close this one. Where did it go? Spoiler wish. Intro to Gradio. It is pretty much the same thing, except there is no there's no Cloudflare integration, and so there is no LLM. All it does is it takes your wish and it'll just say, consider your wish spoiled. That's it. So, but again, it goes inside that same spoil wish. So from this point on, it's the same thing. So you can follow along without if you don't have Cloudflare set up. Now, one thing that how are we doing on time, Colin?
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah. You can wrap
So-
up whenever you want or continue. Yeah.
Cool. So let me do this. So there's a couple of things here. Of course, there's this build with Gradio, but there's this use via API. Let me actually open this up in a new browser, so it's easier. What happens when I click use via API? It gives me some code.
Oh.
It says, okay, you can test this. There's 3 ways to test this out of the box: Python, JavaScript, Bash. We'll stick with Python. I'm not going to run this, but so you can use the Gradio client. There's an API name, spoil wish. I wonder where that came from. I didn't expose an API endpoint, did I? That's the function. That's my callback. So Gradio by default will convert all your callbacks into API endpoints.
Oh.
So you're not only getting a user interface, you're getting an API for free, an API sort of gateway for free for your app.
Oh.
So you can use their client, and then it shows you this one. So I mean I could run it. You could run it, but I'll not go through that with this one. But it's only showing me one API endpoint. There were multiple callbacks. What I sort of sneaked past was, for everywhere there's a callback, you can pass an optional argument API name equals.
Oh.
You can give a name that you want to give it, or you can give it the value of false to say, suppress this. I don't want this to be. I don't need an API that hides and shows controls.
Yeah.
How is it going to even work?
Yeah.
Right? I don't need an API for that. But for spoil wish, I mean, it's a function. It takes inputs, text input, text output. Sure, give me an API call for that. So you get that for free. Another thing that you can do with Gradio, so this is running in a notebook. I'm using my Cloudflare account for that, so there's no CPU requirements. So how do you host this? Few different options. You can get cloud hosting provider. You can host it there. You can host it on your own computer. You can get a link for 72 hours for free. Or you can host it on your infrastructure. You can use something like Cloudflare Tunnels, which we've been sort of using lately, which is another service from Cloudflare that will let you expose the applications running inside your infrastructure out into the public internet with optional authentication without necessarily tampering with your, fidgeting with your router. It takes care of, and plus because it's coming from Cloudflare, certificates are already taken care of. You don't need to worry about SSL or any kind of that setup. You don't have to worry about. There's another free option available because Gradio is maintained by Hugging Face. Hugging Face actually lets you host Gradio applications. So I posted another link in it's in Meeting Plans, I believe. Yeah, Meeting Plans.
Yeah.
Familiar name?
See it? What?
Spoiler wish.
Yeah, see it.
If you click that, that's the link is going to Hugging Face Spaces to my account. Spoiler wish. It's the same application that we sort of went through. How do you go about deploying this? You basically, Spaces is like a Git repo. You create your space, you get a Git URL, and then you provide with, so this one's again, I've broken out the code into different components, but app py. This is familiar code. This is what we had in the last stuff. This is the actual Gradio code. And when you so if you go to settings, this is running on the free tier CPU because this one doesn't require GPU. Cloudflare is doing that for me. And there is no storage requirement, so I don't have to pay for storage for this particular one. And yeah, so when you set up a space, it asks you what kind of space you're creating. Maybe, you know what? Let's if I do create a new space, I can say test space. I'm not going to create one, but I can say Gradio. It says 3 templates. I went with blank template because I already have an app. If you don't go with blank template, it'll actually create the app. It'll have some pre-created Gradio templates for you that you can then modify. And then you select your infrastructure, public. If I create private, then only people who have access to my space can use. This one's running on public. So if I create space, it'll create an empty Git repo on Hugging Face, which is already set up for my Gradio application. All I have to do is check in that app.py file, and it'll take it from there.
Wow.
So that's
So cool.
that's free hosting.
Awesome.
Okay. So that's the lab. Yes.
Questions?
The same hardware.
Yeah.
What else?
Yep. What about it?
You have selected CPU.
Yeah, I went with the free CPU. So what Hugging Face will do is they'll spin it down when nobody's using it, and then if it's spun down and some new request comes in, it'll spin it up. So they'll be it'll show you that it's loading up a container and it's spinning it. So there'll be like a couple of minutes time that it'll take for it to spin up. For this thing, I don't care. This is not a production. This is not a mission critical application. This is a showcase application. So
I have one more question. For the Docker. Let's
yes.
say if I choose Docker,
Yep.
install Docker into our restaurant.
No, this is using Docker as the hosting implementation on Hugging Face. Yes. So if you have a Docker file, if you have it set up in Docker, then you can go with Docker, and then it'll use, instead of app.py, it'll use your Docker file, and then it'll try to download the image from wherever it's hosted, and it'll do it there. Yeah. Streamlit is also something that they support. Yeah. Yes.
I was using pretty old school iPython for making applications on GitHub. Very good. Wonderful application. I have a question. So how many kids usually can go to the Hugging Face application? If so, we are hosting it.
How many what? Sorry.
How many kids can?
I have not tested that. It's a free implementation, so of course, if it starts hitting bandwidth limitations, you might see slowness. So again, and this is the other thing about this is a public space, which means your code is also going to be out in the open, unless you're connecting to a privately hosted API somewhere else. You're just creating a front end, and that's not an issue. So that is another consideration. That if you, of course, it's not exposing my secrets or anything, because they have a key management thing similar to what we did in the Colab notebook. You can specify your secrets, and it'll load them in the environment variable. So nobody can see your secrets, but the code itself will be visible. Yes. There was a question in the back.
Yeah, are you familiar with Streamlit?
Yes.
How is this fair or worse?
It's just a different approach. So Streamlit runs the code as a script. Every page is run as a script. This one is more like you set up a pipeline, and then it goes through the pipeline. So I would say they both give you a good level of control. It boils down to what your preferred style is. Yes.
If you wrap a rack in the spoiler page function, it still work on Junior Notebook, on your Colab, and that still work on Hugging Face.
If I do a what? Sorry.
Wrap a rack.
A RAG.
Yeah.
Yes. So if I'm running it, so you have to, if you're running it on Spaces, then it needs to wherever that infrastructure is for you, wherever your vector store is, your file store is, the application will need to have access to that. So if you're making like serverless calls, for example, so yeah, it'll work. If you're running it on your own infrastructure, if you're running an app on your own home infrastructure or home lab, and you're just exposing a link, then yes, it should still work. Yeah. So I have let's see. I have an app that I built for an online gaming community. That was basically my exercise to learn Gradio. Let's see. Authentication. Let's see. This is a Gradio interface. This one is hosted on my home network, in my home infrastructure. It's using so what's running on my infrastructure? Just the Python app. It's the database and authentication. It's all coming from Supabase. People familiar with Supabase? It's a Firebase alternative. It's backend as a service. So they expose REST APIs. So they have a REST API for you to work with the database. So they have a Postgres database that they make that you can use. They have an authentication. So when you saw, I put my email address, and instead of putting a password, I put an OTP. That's all coming from Supabase. So I didn't have to code any of that. But so that's even though the app is running on my home infrastructure, those things are serverless services that it's able to. So I could deploy this on Hugging Face, and because it's it's connecting, as long as it's able to reach out to those Supabase service, it'll work. Yeah. So
You ready?
So when you're running locally, do you know what web server?
what web server? I
Use some web server, right?
no. So it's using UVCon module. UVCon. Yes, it's a WSGI module to handle parallel requests and stuff. But it's not behind any web server. Well, actually, no, I take it back. This one's actually running on my Kubernetes cluster.
Not this one. So when you ran initially the radio, right?
Yes, no. So that's not running any web server. It's running its own internal. Its own internal web server. So I didn't expose any web server.
Right, but when you're using a public link, right?
Yeah.
It should be hosted somewhere.
It's still no. It was hosting in Google's Colab environment. That's where it was coming from. So this link right here, this public link, this is running on Google. It's right here. It's the same app.
Let's say if you're not using Colab.
Yeah. If you're running on your home network and you give this link, it's running on your. This link will point to your home network. It's creating a tunnel to your home network, and it's running in there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kareem, for sharing what you've been learning. Join me in a nice round of applause for Kareem. Ricky, you want to come on up? You're on the Google. Share your screen. Okay, cool. Now this will be recording your voice. Ready to go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's give it up for Pirruccio.
Hey guys, I'm Ricky. I work as a manufacturing engineer.
You want me to get you a microphone real quick?
Just that's it.
Just to make it easier for you to hear.
Yeah.
Hello? You might need to speak up then for the group.
Okay, cool. No problem. Hello guys, I'm Ricky. I'm a manufacturing engineer at Applied Materials. Actually, no,
There you
I'm
go.
a technical project manager now. Changed roles recently. Works?
I think this will work.
Test. Okay, cool. I dabble in software related things. I like building applications, kind of just to solve problems. Oh, cool. Way better. Recently I had a kind of personal use case to code an application for my dad's marina business in Italy. And so I started from zero with just an empty VS Code editor. And with Cline, I started this like last Sunday. With Cline, I was able to build a full stack application up to the level of building all the public home pages, the backend workflow. It took me about, I guess, 5 days up until now. It's still not complete, but I mean, this is a pretty huge achievement, you know, for someone that doesn't really do this for a living. A little background on the application. It's for a marina business. The way this works is that the user would navigate to our webpage. There's a home page, there's an about page, and then there's a sign-in page. So the purpose of the application is to manage tenant leases for the marina. So I figured, okay, let me build like an authentication system with a user dashboard and an admin dashboard to manage the leases. There's also documentation involved that tenants need to submit, you know, to be compliant, to be our tenants. I thought, okay, like let me integrate DocuSign, and you know, obviously recurring payments with Stripe. So I got as far as building the entire front end for the public interface and the authentication workflow. And the way this works is a user would first register in our app and then go on well, I don't know why I just did. Sorry. Okay. And then go on 3 different onboarding phases. With the idea being that our business would vet these people before having them lease in our business. You know, we only have so much space. It's like 200 boat space kind of area. So it doesn't really make sense to register them, you know, by default and just have a user create in our database. So the way I built this is, okay, first it says, let me define my tech stack. Let me use Next.js for my front end with React, with Tailwind. Yeah, it's just, it's showing the empty screen. So yeah, I'm sharing on Google too. I said, yeah, let me use Next.js, Tailwinds, React, and with TypeScript to build a front end. In the back end, I had to do a little bit of thinking, and I kind of settled on Cloudflare Workers and Supabase. kind of the way I found out about it was actually through our weekly office hours, like talking to Kareem, talking to other people in the group. Cloudflare Workers were very popular, so I thought, okay, let me just look into it, let me try it out. And it's kind of mind blown by the functionality of it, how easy it was to set up. Supabase itself, I don't think I ever wanted to use another SQL database ever. I was able to define all my tables in their no code like dashboard. It kind of looks something like this. You have like a table editor here, and you can, where all my tables go. Odd. It must be in a different project. Okay, I think this is the project. Yeah, probably better to see. The best place to work. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I made these 5 tables: agreements, documents, payment methods, profiles, subscriptions, and by default in Supabase you get an authentication schema with a users table. So this is one advantage of Supabase. You get like authentication built in by default. Yeah, so I kind of brainstormed this like business model. I used ChatGPT for doing most of the brainstorming, thinking, okay, like what databases do I need? What do I need, you know, to have in them for my schemas? And then I got Cline. Is everyone here familiar with Cline? So Cline is a VS Code extension that kind of lets you pipe in LLMs via API with something like Open Router, where you get access to a lot of the models that are paid for, where you pay per token. And the big kid in the block right now is Claude 3.5, which has access to your computer. So it can execute CLI commands. It can read your linter. It can perform web searches. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So Claude looks something like this. This is kind of like the VS Code extension. And it's just this right here. So if I go on VS Code, be this one Cline. Usually it used to be called Claude Dev. These renamed it a Cline. They recently added the MVC feature where I haven't really explored much of yet, but you can create servers to where you define tools for your LLMs to use. So that's something I'm probably going to be using in the future. Yeah. What's up? Oh, you're right. Okay, no problem. I'm just showing like a code editor here. Thank you for bringing that up. Let me just show you the front. Better. It's kind of C code. Let's ask Claude to change my VS Code theme. light color. I can make this bigger for you guys. Oh, so I guess I can keep dark mode now. It's TypeScript. Everything's written in TypeScript, even the workers, the Cloudflare workers. Well, I guess it didn't change my VS Code theme. Let me reload it. Oh, there it is. I just changed my VS Code theme. Not so light color, but now I'm gonna have to change it back. But this is what the front end looks like. Yeah, no problem. I can also speak up. So it looks something like this. It's also responsive. So you can see it in mobile. Thank you.
Can you hear?
Yeah. Test. Okay, so it's all good. Yeah, so I made this mobile first like web app. And it's pretty cool like how it created all the CSS to do this with Tailwinds. I get these like cool like hover buttons right here. I get these cool like animations when the page renders, like these buttons right here flip like that. And I don't really know jack about front end development. So this is huge for me. You know, someone just like wants to build stuff to be usable. They kind of understands, you know, how it works. But it was able to like crank it up, crank out the front end for this. At least like the public interface. Like I think it took me like 30 minutes to have something that was workable like this. Yeah, so the business is like a marina in Syracuse, Sicily. Yeah, if you got a boat, yeah, please. This is our family. It's my brothers, my dad. We need a better picture, but I thought this is a good placeholder for now. And then I asked Claude, like, make up some like story here. That sounds cool. And then it really made like a professional application. These are like real pictures. I plan on having like better pictures, just what I had for now. And then these features, we don't have like, I don't know, high-speed internet surveillance and digital access control. But you know, it's this great boilerplate to get something out. And then this is a sign-in page. And he made this like cool CSS animations right here, just like anchor and these droplets. You have a sign in and a register. You get these cool animations when you change buttons. And yeah. And so the way this would work is you would have like so do like a test user. I don't know if I actually have to put a real phone number here, but this is probably not going to work now. But yeah, like you will have your user register, and then you'll get another page here that tells you like welcome to our marina. Go in your email and confirm a few things, and we'll call you and onboard you to the next step. And then the next step of this would be to show the user, the authenticated user, a page where they can upload their documents and confirm their payment method. And then after that, they will get access to their user dash. So yeah, again, Claude was great in this. And my intuition here is that using TypeScript really helped in making a very good and professional application. Mainly because when let's say like you ask it, you know, the code, okay, like code my about section, and it encounters some errors while it compiles the code in your module. It's able to read the linter. So if the linter is throwing errors, it's able to correct itself like right away. That's why I feel like TypeScript is a must if you're going to do JavaScript now with these LLMs, especially if you have more of these that can access your linter. So I thought let's do an experiment. Let's just code a new page. Does anyone have any ideas for like a simple page that we can make? So where do you have it? Oh, about us. Okay. Okay. Let's make this big. Make new about us page. Featuring Ricky, Pirruccio. Make up a what? Making up an origin story as a ninja. Make it lit. So here it goes. It's asking me to read the file here. You can actually, you have this feature now, auto approve. So I just auto approved it to just read all my files. And here it goes. Ninja Hero session. So yeah, it's adding some CSS. We just added it to these components to the about page. It was already serving it here, but it's just started serving in another URL. It didn't add it to the nav bar. So let's ask it to add it to the nav bar. No, it just didn't add it to the nav bar. No, don't look in my. Wow. Okay. There it is. Oh, I think you just modified the one that we had. Yeah. Right here.
Let's read the story.
Deep in the ancient streets of Sicily, where shadows dance and secrets whisper, young rookie Pirruccio discovers his true calling. by mysterious martial arts masters in the art of physical and mental discipline. He learned that true strength comes from within. After years of rigorous training in the ancient arts of fitness and wellness, Ricky emerged from the shadows with a revolutionary vision to bring the ninja way of health and discipline into the modern world. Today, that vision has become Chukuro, where ancient wisdom meets modern fitness, and every member trains with like a warrior to become the strongest version of himself. Honestly, really cool. I'm not just a player like this. Huh? No, I'll work on that. Yes, it did. It tells you exactly how much it costs. Here, yeah, for that one specific request, it was the last one 0.17, but here it tells you the overall, which is 0.14 cents, 14 cents. Yeah. I actually haven't used Cursor, so I have no idea.
I'm at 10% dead. If you are a professional software developer and want to augment your cognition, Claude and Claude Cline for me, right? Like, what did I do this last week? I learned some stupid thing to do something stupid, which would have taken like 4 weeks. I know what I was trying to do. I was trying to extract a meeting transcript from the city of Austin, like the commission meeting and all that, to figure out what sneaky little bastards try to steal our right, right? And pass laws and bring us dry, specifically my neighborhood. And I used Cline for like, I don't know, so I got for an hour watching some stupid YouTube on the weekend. And wrote Python tools. Downloaded, reverse engineered their publishing interface. Got all the what we call the backends, all the CDS, all the commission documents, all the transcripts, sucked all the way down. Current business. But now I have an entire backup that I can run through a system. So if we need to go present or challenge something or whatnot, we'll republish it into a podcast LM and just make fools of people in charge. Sorry, and just make fools of people in charge. Can. But that was me as like I'm a horrible developer. It's using Cloud Summit, so I couldn't find all the router. There's a group of us that are on Tuesdays and Thursdays too. We're always messing around with this. And so, like me personally, you can put it to Gemini 2 right now for free. It's put through Open Router. They have local stuff. What's really cool right now is MCPs, which was mentioned. You have the ability to basically create your own like NPM library that exposes data sources or agents. And so Cline can actually create those, start self-referencing, publish them so you could basically run on your system. It's really, really darn extensible. I've learned a lot from whether it's Kareem, whether it's Ricky, whether it's Baskin. Yeah, I don't want to steal your thunder here.
No problem, man.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I have used Cursor, and I can tell you from the beginning start, I was able to get it to classified photographs in a directory and now.
Yeah. Amazing.
So there is no new tool similar to Cursor. It's called Wind7. Recently it came out. Yeah, it's better than Cursor.
Wow.
Cursor essentially is a fork of this code.
I'll have to try it out myself. These tools just come out so fast, and a lot of them seem, equally as good. I guess we just gotta try them all and see what works for us. But this for me, was just a VS Code extension. I'm already familiar with VS Code. I use it all the time. All I had to do is just use Open Router to connect with Claude. Put the API key in there and already can use, a chat interface to code like whatever I want on my VS Code. And it seems like Claude itself seems pretty good at doing web applications with TypeScript. I used it to do like Python with like tkinter to do like a desk application, and wasn't that good. I'm guessing it's because it's trained a lot on developing web apps.
We have a dedicated channel on our Discord for the item.
Yeah, I just me personally, I learned so much. I gotta show this, there's an MLOps a couple months ago, we were invited, and I think it was 7 presenters that from Austin. The center of the day in January. One thing that I was working on there was I was those are all images, they're not pictures. Great training. Recently with Cline, I had a like no corn syrup, no dial, that's causing chemicals. And so I had a note from the designer, NYU kid, that she wanted a like picture of 5 or 6 children lined up on the road. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go down, I grab the white box, grab the product from the samples rack, and I go take the picture. And I'm like, I wonder if there's a lazy engineer in this. Someone's going to ask me a bunch of darn pictures one day. So what if I do the same thing that I did for us as humans on the website, and I just go and take like 10 to 30 different snaps of the jelly beans, mix them up and all that. And so then, of course, it came more pictures. The request came in, and Colin's in here, Colin's busy, right? And so I wrote this Python script using Cline that connects into the custom low-rate adapter models that I've sort of replicate, and created all the media, all the pictures that I would need for a website catalog. You know, that's just like one use case of tying these ecosystem tools together. Right. In this case, I just the lazy engineer. I got 1,000 routers the rest of the damn code. Right. Same thing. 1,000 jelly beans, and I need to have one of that show a picture that showcases Coke milk, a picture that showcases apple on file. Right. You really want to go line all that stuff up? Make a file. How about you use Python using Cline and have it connect the API to wherever your records are, and store your images plus your metadata there. I did the math. Each one of those runs saves me $5,600 that I have to pay for. And that's just like one use case, you know, putting writing as a tool to expose into Agent Swarm, just because Colin's even more lazy than that. But that's just like one use case, and I'm just so thrilled and lucky that I get a chance to learn all this. I would not have learned this on my own. It was brought in by our members. They were like, hey, look at this thing I've ever got working. They're like, hey, I got this barely working in this area. Like, eventually we're there. This thing really is.
One of us starts, somebody finds it more interested than the one who started it. They take and they run with it. They come back and they inspire somebody else, and we just keep that going.
I mean, so like not necessarily to thunder, but on the topic of Cline, like I had to put 2025 and 2026 revenue forecast for my makers, right? And so like I had to update like business breaks into quarters, and there's part of the business that's like some nutrition reports for physicians' wellness centers. And so in this case, I of course updated all my documents and revisions out of my Cydia database and had revisions of the business plans. But then now, maybe I'll just roll the dice. And I had Cline write Python, which created SLSS files that were the actual financial forecasts from my business plan and my sales plan. Right? So it's like, if you're a developer, yeah, it's great, you do amazing things, but here's a dumbass business guy, 10% developer, freaking powerful. Like, and then if you have a group that you're passing things back and forth with, yeah, you get stuck on some stupid stuff. But phone a friend, pop on Discord. Like, it's great.
And make up texture.
All the projections are made up. Yeah, I can look at example customers, and I can understand my cost of customer acquisition. I can understand the onboarding rate. I can do my cash flow projection. I can understand what the credit protection, error protection. Basics of bringing in service to any product market, I can define that with the fundamentals of my business, which I already have inside my knowledge store. I can pass those fundamentals in either as a memory, my consoles that know about me, I can pass them specifically as I bring in different documents which describe the state of the business. And then utilize a Cline, and I don't trust it fully. Like I was like, I can't get too complicated with all right now. But like, it is completely game changing. Yeah, I was talking with a VP, like a guy who runs commercial for a local bank here. Yeah, we got this whole conversation about the coolest thing here is that it's reasonably non-technical. Like we're in a global service world, but yeah, went from engineering to business in 2011. That if you have an idea like this plugin should be here, I wish I could have it do this. You have the ability as a business user to rapidly iterate, create an MVP and hand off your dev team. And the same thing what we're experiencing, just like Ricky was showing, like, hey, here's this. I use TypeScript. There's a lot of code base out there. It's all on Stack Forge. I can do this giant dance. It's cool little dancing stuff. You know exactly what I'm going to be doing next. I'm going to totally ripping off your stuff. Using that to build out the STRs gone wild. Figure out the website. There's a podcast right now about our city and stupidity. I'm trying to figure out a way I can like integrate a Gradio interface. I don't know. That's kind of the power Austin LangChain.
Yep, I'd be happy to help you with that. Well, that's kind of all I had. The other thing I guess I want to talk a little bit about Cloudflare Workers. You know, the possibilities that it unlocks. The way that I configure Cloudflare Workers was through the CLI, through the Wrangler CLI. So I didn't get an API token from Cloudflare. I use their CLI to authenticate into my Cloudflare account, and then use a TOML to basically store my env variables in my Cloudflare worker. So hey, I don't know, maybe I'm iterating with this thing. Like later on, I want to use an AI model to do something straight from my worker. Maybe have another second worker to run some AI logic in my app. Could be done. Also with Supabase, you get access to edge functions that can run on when you know, certain events happen when you update your table, like sending out an email to my customers right when they register, so they can go through the next onboarding step. Yeah. Yeah, could be used. It's actually free. They have a very generous free tier. I think that you get like 500 megabytes for free. Something like that. Yeah. Yes, base.
No, they've been around for a while. Yeah, this is not a new company. Yeah, there is pricing.
Move that.
It's pricing.
Here. This one? Oh, this one. Yeah, here it is.
50,000 monthly active users, 1,000 megabytes of database space, 5 GB bandwidth, 1 GB file storage, unlimited API. So, I mean, you can run a bunch of apps. You can start with Supabase. You don't have to worry about how you can put features. You can basically start, and then as your application grows, you know, then you might switch it to the higher tier. Or Supabase also has a simple form. You can basically carry your. So if you want to deploy in your own environment, or if you deploy in your own clouds.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool tool with a combination of Cloudflare. We'll be using this a lot.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I guess you just get more storage. Email support, that's kind of interesting. Oh, with them, okay. That's what I thought I meant. All right, guys, well, that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you, Ricky. So it says swapping out on the laptops, right? You can end it.